Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. For our new listeners and our old listeners, don't forget, hit up www.whitelabelamerican.com if you want to check out all the platforms where you can find this podcast. And if you aren't sure about your favorite platform to listen to this podcast on, we're also available on YouTube. So, yeah, you can find us there. And if you are one of those who listen to us on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button right after you listen, or even before you start listening. Hit that like button because we need that. Hit that like button so YouTube knows that humans are listening and not just bots. So hit that like button. And if you listen on Spotify, give us 5 stars. Show a black podcaster some love, a black independent podcaster some love. And also, if you want to show more love, you can donate, give us as low as $3 or do the Jeff Bezos thing and give us as much money, $100 million. We won't say no. I'm black and I'm bald. So, yes,
I get half of that.
100 million. Yes, we accept that. $100 million. If you want to give crypto, we'll have to get a lawyer and talk about that. But dollars preferably. Euros, yes, we'll take euros. Any other currency, we'll have to get a lawyer and talk about that. But we appreciate the love anyway. 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. We welcome them. Please, please, please. We need more of that. And also, we love feedback. So give us feedback, write comments wherever you can. If you aren't sure of where to do that, please do that on our website, and I'll love to read them on the show. So yes, do that, and I'll start reading them. I haven't gotten any feedback in some time, so I'm long overdue. So write your feedback, and if it's too nasty, yes, I might not read it on air. But if it's positive, and even if it's not too positive, I'll still read it on air. So with that being said, let's meet today's guest. I'm highly honored to have a brother from the Black Podcasters Association. He's one of the first people who welcomed me, and we're at one point in time on the, what was it called? We're on the board for most active on the former Facebook group, and then we moved to our own platform. But this brother he's always been nice to me and always been good to me in the group. And if you aren't a member of the Black Podcasters Association and you're a Black podcaster wherever you're in the world, also reach out so I can hook you up, or you reach out to our guest who you'll be meeting shortly. So without much further ado, I welcome Reginald. I didn't ask you how to pronounce your name, although I've heard you say it before, but now it just disappeared from my brain. But Reginald.
Reggee. Reginald.
Yeah,
only my mom
call you. Okay, yeah. I always know you as Reggee.
And
his husband, Carlos, who also had the honor of being the first gay couple to be on this show. And I'm highly honored to have them here. So welcome again.
And it's Pride Month too. There you go.
And it's Pride Month. So see, ticking off all the boxes. So it wasn't like intentionally planned, but everything works out. And a little bit about Reggee. Reggee is also the host of Reggee's Expressions, a beautiful podcast where you get to hear discussions where he's not afraid to have discussions with wonderful people. And he's a very inspiring brother because he's open-minded, but he's also not afraid to give you his to show his emotions also. So, and he's also an Army veteran. So although I always normally say boo Army, but today is all about love. So welcome on the show.
That.
How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. That was quite the introduction, I have to say. I appreciate that. I'll have to give you $10 here after all of that. So
I appreciate that.
I know how much it pains you to say, I was a good, Army guy because, you're Marine, right? Or Navy?
No, Navy, man. Come on. After all that, you just put me.
Because Army, I don't really remember any of the rest of them. I mean, if it's not Army, I'll take your word for that. No, but I appreciate your service. Absolutely. I mean, we served all the same, and there's very few people that look like you and I that served on that side of the world, and it's something to be able to be said that we were able to serve and get through all the things that we got through, because it was doubly hard for us, I think, at times.
That's right. Yeah, and I appreciate your service too. So, it's not about me; it's about you guys. So let's dig into the both of you. So first of all, let the people know about your beautiful names. What are the meaning of your names?
You can go first.
Yeah, my name was given to me as reminder of one of my uncles, who unfortunately passed away when he was 6 years old. So my grandma always had the need to name someone after him because she suffered a lot by her loss, and then that's what I get my name from.
They also said you remind them of him too.
Yeah,
right?
They said I remind them too because they lost a lot like me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come back to that, Carlos. You just reminded me of something. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
What about you, Reggee?
My name is Reggee. It is short for Reginald. Reginald is the formal name of my name. It is actually spelled Regenald, not Regen or Reginald, which is the traditional spelling. I didn't know
autocorrect. It's always hitting me with that. Anytime I try to spell it, autocorrect.
It does. Funny story. I didn't know that my name was spelled with an E until I was in the 10th grade. I just thought that it was this mistake. So I always would correct the mistake. And in 10th grade, I found out that it was Reginald with an E. So I corrected course from that. But my name was given to me by my aunt. She just liked the name Reginald, and it actually means king. So, I don't take my name lightly. And the great Amanda Seals, I don't know if you know who she is, but
I know that name.
Yeah, she actually said that I had a black ass name. So,
wow.
So I don't plan on changing it. Reginald means king. Reggee didn't come until later because my family member called me Red. So Reginald didn't come until I was in high school, or Reggee didn't come until I was in high school. And then it just, took a form of its own, and I've been Reggee ever since. But, I like all iterations of my name. So,
yeah. Awesome. So, we're both of you were born in different parts of the world. Would you mind introducing the audience to your places of birth and what was childhood like for the both of you?
Mm-hmm. I was born in Venezuela, South America, a city named Maracaibo.
Maracaibo.
Yeah, it's on the west side of the country, in South America. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm just regular old black. I'm from Albany, Georgia. I was born and raised in the South. I was there until I was 18. And I'm very proud of where I came from, simply because it kind of grounds me. It reminds me of humble beginnings, which, Carlos honestly and truly is a man of a few words, but he has a facial expressions of $1 million because that face would get you right. But we both come from humble beginnings, which I think is why we are kindred spirits in that way. And I hadn't had an opportunity to go to Venezuela yet. And he's been to my home many times. It definitely was quite the experience growing up. A lot of oppression, still a lot of oppression in Albany. I have to remind people that Albany was, in the middle of the hotbed of civil rights movement. Martin Luther King was
Mm-hmm.
there. I have an awesome episode where my dad, expressed the excitement about Martin Luther King coming through the city and the experience that he had when school was segregated. So, a lot of that still exists, unfortunately, in that part of the world. It is visible because, and I'm going to say this really quickly, and then I'm going to give it back over to Carlos. It's so interesting to me when I hear uh, uh, white people say that they've never seen a Black person. But even though Albany is probably 80% Black, I couldn't go a day without seeing one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, they're everywhere. So it was always amazing to me. But I definitely had a very strong Black experience. There are a lot of conversations that were had that were unsaid, but you could feel it in the air. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how separate we were versus what they were. And what I mean by they is white people. And, just how we carried ourselves and how the, overall experience was like, just different things that happened growing up. But like I said, I'm very proud of where I'm from, and I love to go back whenever I can. But I like to get out of there as quick as I can too. So
I understand that. Until I heard you say Albany, Georgia,
mhm.
I live in New York, and
Yeah,
Albany is our capital. And
yep. I get it
when
all.
when I first arrived in America, there was this Virginia was my home state, and Alexandria was like the one city that I was like, oh, every state in America has an Alexandria. And then I start
Mhm.
seeing that, oh, every state in America seems to have another city or county that literally has, like, wait, did they just run out of names to give
Yeah.
other
Mhm.
cities?
I
And
Mhm.
see.
it was, and then so like at one point in time, I used to be like so shocked to find out that wait, there's a Brooklyn outside of New York.
Yeah, Brooklyn,
Then
Tennessee.
then I'll be shocked. Like, wait, so before I'll be like shocked. Like, what? There's an Albany too? But now
Yeah.
I'm no longer shocked because I'm just like, man, some people were lazy back then. They're just lazy because
It's hard to come up with new names. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, when you took when you literally stole the land, I mean, it's kind of like what name? Yeah, my cousin up north had a name. Oh yeah, that's the name. Oh yeah, that we just
Yeah,
call it. That's
they
it.
just started recycling it. There's like we can
Just recycle.
a few hundred miles away, they won't even know the difference. Just name it another name.
Yeah. So, Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
remember I said I'll come back to you before
Yeah.
you jump into your childhood back in your place of birth. Something you said about your name when your family said you reminded them of your late uncle.
Mm-hmm.
That reminded me of my people. I was born in Nigeria. I'm from the southern part of Nigeria. That's how we say it back then. That's what we call the region, South. And we have something like that too. Like we say someone was we can say like this kid was born, and this kid reminds us of someone who passed away, a relative who's passed away, and we do something similar to that too. So it was just interesting hearing you reference that, and I was like, somehow we kind of interconnected, and and later on when we come to food, I will bring up something again, which reminds me of my Venezuelan brother who lives in Tampa, and but also on the name side, you like the first Venezuelan whom I've met who's not my namesake.
Oh, Raphael?
Yeah.
Really? Really? Is that a common name?
Yeah, it is.
Really? I didn't know that.
One of our
Yeah.
Raphael.
That includes my brother who was we're both in the Navy together. He's like, yeah, we're pretty close. He's down in Tampa, and his family is like mine, and he's the shorter version of me, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like, man. And then he introduced another Venezuelan while we were stationed in Bahrain, and I was like, bro, you guys ain't got another name? What's going on? Yeah, why are you all gonna be the same names hanging out together? Like, nope, this is too much. This is too, we can't all be.
What's the pronunciation of your name though? Because I said Raphael, which is the American version.
Oh, it's Raphael.
Raphael?
Raphael.
Oh, so we just
like
forget
Michael.
that.
Like Michael, it's kind of so like so Raphael.
Oh, so you spell A-E-L.
Yeah, A-E-L. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
P-H-A-E-L.
That makes sense.
Also, my Carlos is very common in Venezuela too.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's quite a few Carloses that I know.
Carlos, Edgar.
Oh, Edgar. Oh, Edgar. That's one I wasn't expecting to hear, but hey, see, that's how I learned.
My dad was my dad was Edgar too.
Oh,
yeah, he passed last year.
No, sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of my brothers is named Edgar too for him.
Edgar
was there a popular person named Edgar that led to people naming their kids after Edgar?
Yeah.
Who was a famous person? Yeah.
Edgar, a baseball player.
Oh, baseball is big there.
Yeah, Rafael. One of our president was Rafael Caldera back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very common.
So that's the man I need to go talk to. Like, hey, man, you need to calm down because I'm used to having my name to myself in most places until I met Venezuelans, and I'm like, God damn, there are too many. I can't go there.
There's an abundance of Carloses that I know that, it's interesting because we don't call each other we don't call each other by our names. We call each other love.
Yeah.
So, it's weird when I say someone that has the same name as him because I automatically think of him, whenever I'm talking to someone. Unless they're a horrible person, then I'd be like, oh, no, there's no way you could be Carlos.
I only call him by his name when he made me mad.
That's true.
That's fair enough. That's true.
And I wonder if it's the same thing for me too. Or I just have an inflection of love. Love, come on now.
That's that southern. I thought I heard that southern twang in there.
Oh yeah, I'm straight from the South now. I'm from Alpharetta, Georgia for real. I might have, I ain't been there since 1999, but that's where I'm from. So it ain't gonna never come out.
I love that. You also reminded me of the day I found out "Bless Your Heart" wasn't what I thought it was. I used to just love when women said that. The Southern woman says that, and I was like, "Oh, that's so beautiful." Until someone was like, "You know what they're trying to tell you, right?" Yeah, that's like, oh.
The very first time I went to Albany, I couldn't understand anything. I had to ask, "What did it say? What did it say?"
Yeah. That was for me.
So one day I'll have to take you, so you'll be indoctrinated because it's like how different dialects and stuff like that it exists.
Yes.
In Albany too, where our Southern twang sounds different than everybody else. Mm-hmm. So. It was definitely a learning curve initially because his ear wasn't quite, he had never heard it quite in that way before. Because, Florida has a lot of people from up north that come down here. So we have,
people from all over the places.
Yeah, but we have a lot of iterations of that accent, Northern accent that comes down here and they influence their kids and their kids sound like it. So it's rare that you get somebody that's from the South that sound like I do. So it's or sound like we can in Albany. So it was it was entertaining to see him interact and like, what was that again? Hold up. What did he say? Kid he say? Growing pains. We've been together almost 8 years coming up pretty soon. So.
And besides, I learned English on the street. I didn't even go to school for. So I've been here 22 years. All I know is from here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, beautiful. And you sound better than many English speakers that I know. You trust me, you're much better. So amazing. So let me see. So with that being said, what would both of you consider your favorite childhood memory?
Mine, going to school. I always liked the school. And going to the zoo with my family. Like once a month, we go to the zoo and do a picnic. That was my favorite memories.
It's a very good question. And I figured I would have more time to do that. But then I forgot who I was next to. But favorite memory, there's many, but if I had to kind of put it all together, it was typically during holiday times when I was younger, not so much when I got older. My family members, my dad is one of 12. My mom was the only child. So, my mom would love to go to my dad's family for Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that stuff. And they would and Carlos has been to that house since then. That house is super small. And again, my dad is one of 12. And I loved going out to my grandmother's house and just playing with the kids that were my age. I remember many Easters and many holidays that we would go out and hang out with my grandmother and just be out there at her, because she has acres of land out there, and nature walks that we used to go on. But if I had to put in particular, my most favorite memory would be when I don't know, just because we like to laugh and talk and joke around. So seeing somebody do, something silly or like, for example, we used to bust out laughing when people would fall, break their neck or something. Like, that was hilarious to us. And then we would hold on to those stories and retell them, at a family dinner or whatever the case may be. You remember when Trina fell in 1992? That was hilarious. And we laughed like it was the first time we ever told that story. So just moments like that I remember. I can't think of anything in particular.
Sound scared me.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Long story short, I have a good friend. His name is Sam, and Sam likes to do these loud, obnoxious sounds sometimes. And I had been around Sam when he would do it. It would just be it's not one of those sounds he would be like, Sam, do that sound you like to do, and he would do it right. It had to be something that was like in the
unexpected
depths of the earth, like he had to bring it from down under and do it. And we happened to be in a small place playing Uno with my nieces and nephews, and Sam does this sound, and Carlos, first off, he got pissed. His face was completely red. And when he figured out what was going on, my nieces and nephews say Carlos was halfway upstairs about to get ready to go to bed. How loud that sound was. And they were just like, so they talk about that, and my niece Nini cries, literally tears of joy from her eyes whenever she thinks about what happened. And it's just funny with her because the way she be laughing is just hilarious, and it just makes everybody else laugh.
That's the same song, Get Off My Body.
Yeah. She said Carlos's soul jumped out of his body. And that's what we left the shell of Carlos after that. But those are the kind of things that my family members would do. They were very accepting to him the very first time they met him. They called him a white man, but that was also because they had never known anybody from Venezuela. So I was like, no, he's not. No, he's not. But
that reminds me of my favorite podcast, The Black Guy Who Tips. The wife Karen, she had a similar story to when her aunt, who was married to a Puerto Rican, light-skinned Puerto Rican, when their uncle came to the family the first time, he said her family members, because she's from North Carolina,
Oh,
Yeah, the family members, same thing. They're like,
okay.
oh, he's a white guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, hell no. Hell no. I'm not white.
Yeah. Carlos was like, "Did you say?" No. So, but they accepted them quite well. They had no problems with him, and it was interesting to see them forge their own relationship with him. So,
Yeah.
Now they all love
That's
him.
beautiful.
they're very protective of him. Very protective.
Awesome. All right. So, uh, still sticking to your childhood, who did you consider, or what were the inspirations, or who did you consider to be role models for you, or who were the first people that were role models in your lives?
For me, my aunt Denise, which we call Mama Tia now.
Mhm.
She
Very
was
sweet lady.
she was a single mom, and she worked hard to get her 3 girls up and educated, and she always, beside taking care of her 3 kids, every year she prepared me, my brothers, and my other cousins to go to school, and she would bring us a whole school list with all the supplies, all new uniforms, and everybody had to go to school with new clothes every single year. And she inspired me to be who I am today.
And I've gotten the opportunity to meet Mama Tia quite a bit. It was interesting because the first couple times I met her, I was just like, Aunt Tia is what he calls her. I was like,
Tia is Aunt Tia.
I was like, that doesn't embody who you are to him. I felt like she was more of a parental,
more like a mom,
right, to him. She loved her some Carlos. When I tell you, she loved him as if he was her son. She did. So I was just like, because a lot of times, Tia to me, when you call people aunts and uncles, it's very intimate. So to just freely say Tia, whoever, that isn't something that represents who I am, and it just felt foreign. So I was just like, Tia mama, like play on words, like Tia mama, Tia, because she's she's an aunt, but she treats him like a son. And I just kind of kept bouncing around, and I said, Mama Tia, and that stuck. So I think it's been like 6 or 7 years since I've known her and interacted with her, and that name is stuck. So I also would surmise that it's also gone down to other family members who call her that too, because she is, and she's a matriarch of the Socorro family, I have to say.
Yeah.
So very sweet lady.
Is she? So she's no longer in Venezuela.
Yeah, she's there right now.
Yes.
Oh, she's there right now. Okay.
Yeah, but she always transitioned to Panama over here sometimes. Last time she was here, she stayed with us 3 months.
Yeah, she
stayed with us 3 months. Around time to do my citizenship.
Yeah, she was there for your citizenship, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she my best story that I had for her was when we went to the Gay Pride parade here. It's for some reason we celebrated in October here in Orlando. So I requested that day off because I wanted to be in the parade, and Carlos did too. And obviously she was around, so she went with us, and we were marching in the parade, if you will, and there was this section. And she was walking around, and Mama Tia's just having her a blast. She got little trinkets and everything, got a little shirt on, a little rainbow flag, just being an ally like an ally could be. And I forget what she had in her hand. It might have been a flag or glasses or something like that she had. And she was walking through, and this girl was like, hey, let me get those glasses. Mama Tia don't speak English, so there's that. And, the girl went to go grab him. Mama Tia was like, no. And she called Mama Tia a meanie. She was like, meanie. But Mama Tia didn't know what the hell she was saying. So she was just like, whoa, yeah. So that is my most favorite memory. And I could tell that she enjoyed herself, even though she might have been like sore and ready to run out of there afterwards. Because it was maybe like 2 miles that we walked. It was long marching, but she enjoyed herself. So that would be my most favorite memory of her. And she definitely is somebody that has a very special place in
mine
his
too.
heart.
And she is my inspiration. I want to be like her when I grow up.
Super sweet.
Beautiful.
So you asked who was an early role model for me.
Yeah.
You know what was interesting is because I felt different, being gay, I don't think I really had role models in that way or people that I inspired to be like. And I think that my adoration for the folks that I would consider people I looked up to was just for attention's sake. Like I wanted their attention, love, affection. So I figured if I revered them in that way, that would cause them to feel that same way about me. So I can't really say that I had, role models and people that I model myself after. But what I did, and I was lucky to have, was, people that knew the situation that I came from and that inserted themselves into making sure that my experience was the best it could have been. Like my friend Selena's mom, Angela, Miss Benton, one of the sweetest ladies I ever met. Me and her daughter met in 7th grade. Clearly that didn't work out between me and the daughter because I'm gay. But for the most part, she was very nurturing and kind to me from the very beginning. And she was an advocate for me before I was an advocate for myself. So she has a very special place in my heart that even though she going to give me hell whenever I come to Albany about how big I done got and how I need to stop eating, it's worth it for me to go see her because not only does it give me a dose of home, it also gives me, that warmth and love that I had never felt that I was able to get because my family members were unavailable emotionally in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but
Carlos.
Yeah. Oh my God. Whenever, and I think that's a reflection of how much I love him is why they love him in that same way. It's like my dog, Rico. Rico didn't know who Carlos was the first couple months we were together, but when it hit. And now Rico can't do anything without Carlos's validation. He's a freaking dog. You know what I'm saying? There's times where Rico is just like, wow, oh my God, look at him giving me some water. He's such, I love him dearly. The strongest and, longest relationship I've ever been in. So, obviously my feelings run deep. So, but Mama, don't do that. Mama, Miss Benton, there was a young lady that was on the bus one time. I was graduating from high school. I don't remember her name, but she would see me every day and I was always well-mannered. And, I was getting ready to graduate from high school and she was just like, I want to put some money in your hands, to just give you some happiness. I don't remember that lady. She was a bus driver, but she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself either. And, my grandmother was a hard charging woman, but she definitely was. She was a product of the environment that was around her. At the end of the day, my grandmother's love runs through my bones. She passed away in 2002. My mom passed away last year also. But my mom was mentally ill for most of my childhood and throughout adult. I would like to surmise that my mom, had she been lucid, would have probably been the exact same way that my grandmother would have been. So even though my grandmother died in 2002, I think she gave me more time with my mother in embodying her, even though my mom was available to me in that way during that time frame because of her mental illness. So that's it.
Yeah, that's and condolences again for over the loss of your mom.
Thank you.
And that was an important point that you raised over people being there for us when being able to advocate for us when we weren't in the position to advocate for ourselves or knowing when to advocate for ourselves.
Right.
Because I even had that in my life where I just turned 40, and it's now that I'm looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, there were times when I didn't have the words, I didn't know went to say this or went to say that, or even my time in the military, there were people who were like, why are you accepting this evaluation? No, you work too hard. This that you deserve better than this. And I was coming from an environment where nobody appreciated me. I wasn't used to people saying, giving me praise, or who was giving me the validation. So when a basic person was like, yeah, you work hard, that's good, and gave me the wrong evaluation, when I should have stood up to say, no, I'm not signing this, I'm not accepting this, I should have pushed. I was just like, yeah, yeah. And then there were people who were getting mad on my behalf, like, hell no, no. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with them? Why are these people mad? What is wrong? And when it was now dawn on me why they were getting mad, they were right to get mad, because then I'll see the people who I was doing more work than them. I was doing better than them. But they were the ones advancing over me, and I'm now getting angry. I'm exploding inside. There were even people who boycotted an award ceremony on my behalf.
Oh, wow.
I didn't understand that. I didn't care, to be honest. I didn't care. I was just like, what? Why? Are you people that taking it that serious? And I didn't, it didn't dawn on me. But that was all part of, it was part of it.
Yeah.
And
now it's more meaningful for you. It's more meaning for you now to look back at it and see people, advocate for you. And that's one of the things that I try to do as people in general, It's hard sometimes to see the light that people see in you, and it's not validated until it's validated, right? So at the end of the day, I try to see the best, even though this world can be horrible, like it has been the last couple of weeks, and a lot of times as of recent. I try to find the light, in my people as much as I can, especially as Black folks, because we don't get that same courtesy.
No, we don't. And that's, I think that also adds to why it's hard sometimes to see the light, because there's a diversity to us, and to people of color, and most especially Black folks. And like your most recent episode with our good friend
Tony.
And when you were making the point when he was talking about Black people wanting to get the now, just a little tangent that I'm just going on. And I understand. It took me a while, because I used to be one of those who used to make points like that. Black people always try to get stuff for the now instead of aiming for the long-term goals,
Right.
And it took me a while to get it, to understand why it looks like we're always going for now, even though I don't believe that's a factual thing, but it always looks like, because that's what's glorified, or that's what's pumped out a lot in the media. But it makes sense for many people to go for the now, because we have a shorter lifespan. There's a lot of things have been denied from us. So of course, when you get access to a little cash, a little wealth, of course you have to be loud, because you've been denied access to be loud all these years. You've been told you can't be loud. Look at even our kids. As soon as just children being children, you're denied from doing that. But a white kid can be loud at the playground. A white kid can be loud at a grocery store. A white kid can be loud at a church. White kid can be loud everywhere. But a Black kid isn't allowed to be a Black child.
Right. And have that same joy.
Yeah. That's just doing what children do.
Yeah.
That's how bad the rules are. So we forget all that, and then start bringing all this into, Black people have to aim for long term, and Black people and that's how we forget. That's how deep it goes. that we start applying all these rules. That even Black people start enforcing it on ourselves without even asking ourselves why. Why do we have to? Because I'm a dad. I even do it sometimes because my kid just screams. Sometimes she's emotional and she just and I'm like, don't scream. I'm like, wait, why am I yelling? Don't scream. Shut up.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
She might have something. It's her mom that's like, yes, you can scream, but use your words. Tell us why you're screaming and all that. And I'm like, but for me, it's like the first reaction is shut up. So, zip it up. Don't scream. Don't make me look bad in front of all these people. That's always the first reaction. And I'm, Then then it's like I'm doing that check. And okay, why am I always going to that reaction first? Who am I? Who's going to look at me like you're a bad parent?
Right.
Oh. And then after I knock that out, and I'm like, okay, you girls scream all you want to scream. Let them call me a bad parent. I don't care. And then walk it out from there, So
and it's interesting. And before I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make the point because you triggered something in me when you said that. When I think about like the experience that Will Smith and Chris Rock had on the Oscars.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing that really incensed me was the situation where people were looking at that, and it was a lot of us, a lot of Black folks looking at that as something that showed the world this is why we don't deserve anything. When in reality, what happened is what happens when people are pushed to a limit. You know what I'm saying? Whether it happens behind closed doors or on a national platform, it doesn't matter. So the issue is that we use these existential things that happen as conversation for us to move forward, when in reality, they're just things that happen because
that's it. It's just that's it. It's just two people
just being people who happen to be
people, humans.
You know what I'm saying? And until we as Black folks understand that we ain't got to answer to nobody,
that's right.
We're going to continue to preach those things, those identity politics to people who we love. And that's going to cause us to continue to be stifled. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just that we as people start the conversation in the worst place possible. We start the conversation after something bad has happened.
Exactly.
And we look at that as, again, this catalyst for change, when in reality, we should have been talking about this shit this whole entire time. If you want to have a conversation about gun control, the time to have that conversation isn't the day that 19 children die. The conversation should be, what do we need to do to protect the people that we're here to protect, especially those babies, bringing it all back together. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's incensing. That's the best word that I can explain it as, because it's just frustrating. Because at the end of the day, the conversations are being started in the worst place. And then we're left with the aftermath of those conversations being responsible for shit that we ain't even responsible for.
That's right. It's like our job to always educate the world. And I'm like, no, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't. But, well, to wrap it up, the final thing I always say is November is coming. If you really want to do something, November is coming. Go do something there. You know who to vote in.
Oh, let me also say this too before I know you about to wrap it up. But just for y'all out there who want to make a difference, November is coming. But we also need to make sure that we learn about our local government, because the issue and the change doesn't happen with the bigger, with the bigger government. Because at that point,
that's what I mean by if you want to do something. Because every time I hear people like the president, I'm like, did you vote in your local elections? Did you vote? Because I know someone who cut me off. He came on Facebook because I mentioned the last election cycle, which was which included the presidential election.
Right.
I think San Francisco, either San Francisco or Los Angeles. I think it was San Francisco, Los Angeles. For the first time, they had an all-women. The council had all-women executive. Yeah, including it was like all representative, but all women.
Okay. I got you.
So whites, black, Latino, I think even a gay, but all women made it on the council. And I was like, when people tell you don't vote, don't show up to vote, boycott elections, can you have this? This is why elections matter. Turn up to vote. The presidency is not the only election that's important. All elections are important. Go vote. Your vote matters. And my boy came up and started attacking me. And, well, if you voted for Benny, I'm like, bro, Benny is not the only person on the ballot. There's more elections. Your school council, in a place like Texas, I think they call it the commissioner for trains or something like that. That is important in that state. Right. You guys will ignore all this because your man didn't win the presidential primary. Then you boycott everything, and then you now be mad that there's no change. How can you get change?
And that happens because of the way that politics were told to us. We were taught that the presidential, election is the most important one. So that's the reason why we have that level of intensity. But what we're realizing is that, big government doesn't care about us in the same way that, the person who's down here in grassroots. And that's what we need to spend our time and effort, into nurturing and making sure that,
getting to know who are they, what they do.
Yeah, what I point out to people is if those positions aren't important, why is someone spending a lot of time at making those, going overboard to say CRT, they're teaching CRT in our schools. We need to get those positions and make sure they can't bring CRT into our. You're seeing them grabbing those positions now. You are still sitting down saying, well, I'm more interested. The president didn't say this. He didn't say defund the police, so I'm not going to come out. Well, the people who are going to come out, they're going to come out. They've told you, this is where I'm coming for. This is what I'm coming for. So you make up your mind, because if you are concerned about protecting the children, if you are concerned about women's rights, those guys, they've been coming out for 50 years. They kept their eyes on the ball, for one thing. At the end of the day, they're going to take out Black people's rights to vote. They're going to bring back slavery. Their eyes on the ball. They're not joking. They don't care if it takes a serial rapist to get their goal. But they will get the local position. They will get the highest position. They will get all positions. That's what they are. And that type of commitment that we need, because somebody was ready to die to get you the right to vote. And you're going to say, well, Obama won elections, so I don't need to come out. The fight is over. I'm going to go sleep. The fight's never over. The day the fight is over, it means those aliens from, what's my guy's movie, Roland Emmerich's movie, they've showed up and blown us up. That's when the fight is over.
Right, exactly.
Hi, everyone. We've made it 2 years, and who would have thought so? So let's go further and make it 3, make it 4, make it 5, make it 6, who knows, 20. But we can't do this without your support. So join us on Patreon at patreon.com/whitelabelamericanpod or linktree.com/whitelabelamerican. Go there and you'll see our Patreon link, and you can join us for as low as $3. We have bonus content, we have bonus materials. There's so much juice over there that we don't release to the public. And you can contribute in making this podcast better. You can send questions, you can send your ideas, and also there's a lot of new things that are coming. The announcements are made on Patreon first, because we have to, take care of people who help make this podcast possible. So you can be the one to make this podcast what you want it to be. Come join us on Patreon and make it what you would like to see. Join us, make it fantastic. Keep the 5 stars coming in, keep the love coming in. Thank you for the privilege of your company. Coming back to the main story of this podcast, Carlos, you were in Venezuela and then you migrated over to United States. What was that journey like for you, coming to America?
Well, I always felt different for some reason back at home. didn't like the holidays, how we celebrate it. I don't like the noise. I like the quietness. So I came here the first time in 1993, and I fell in love for this country. And I came to Florida the first time. And I come from a hot country, hot and dry. And Florida was like home for me. And then I came again in 94, 95, and then in 2000, I decided this is it. I go to USA and I'm going to stay there. It wasn't easy, but I made it through. I learned English without going to school. I became a citizen, or became a citizen. Pretty much, I have done a lot of things that other people have done, and I'm proud of it. And this is home for me.
So, congratulations again on your citizenship. Every time you were coming over from Venezuela, were you always coming to Florida, or do you go to other states?
No, just Florida.
Okay, so you fell in love with Florida from day one. You said,
I have some cousins and friends back from Venezuela. They live here already.
Okay.
So they invited me over. I came to visit and, spent time on Disney, Universal, all that fun. But I always was short trips, like 2 weeks, 1 week. It wasn't for too long, but I always liked it.
Okay. So was the Florida weather similar to Venezuela?
Yeah. The difference here is humid. Yeah, here is humid. And over there is dry. Yeah, but it's the same heat.
Okay. Okay. So when you finally decided to stay, was the immigration process easy, or was there any problem from immigration?
It was easy for me.
Okay.
I don't want to give details, but it was somehow easy.
So you asking for when he?
I came with a visa, a tourist visa.
No. That wasn't what I was asking. Were you meaning in terms of currently, him becoming a citizen, or when he came from Venezuela here?
Oh, if I thought it was the same process. Was that two different processes?
Yeah, it's two different processes.
Oh, if you wish to share. Sorry?
He didn't get his citizenship until 2019.
Oh.
So he had been here at this point 19 years prior to, where he had some humble beginnings.
Yeah, but the hardest part was to learn all the 100 questions that they asked you to study.
Yes.
And you have to learn a little bit of everything to go through that test. But it was easier.
My mother went through that. I didn't have to go through that because I was in the military when I went for my citizenship. So they're like, you don't need to do all that. That's the advantage.
Them questions, I was like, I don't even know all that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
That's what many native born citizen Americans realize when they go look at the questions. They're like, whoa, I think there was only like 10 questions they asked me, and I missed one, but I knew the answer, but I think I wasn't paying attention when the guy asked me. But the guy who asked me, my interviewer, he was he a Marine? I think it was Marine or Air Force. I can't recall what he was, but he was like, it don't matter. I already passed you. The moment I knew you were active duty, you weren't going to fail anyway. So if you wanted to not answer any question, you were still fine. I was like, what, really? You could have told me. You could have started with that. I would have not answered any question. But
they start asking the 10 questions, but when you the guy did do mine, when he asked me number 6, they were all correct. So he stopped right there.
Oh,
I didn't fail any of the first 6 questions. So he said, okay, this is it. And then he asked me to write by hand.
Yes. Yeah, they asked me to write.
Celebrate Columbus Day. What day?
I actually have no idea when that celebrated.
October 12th.
Yeah.
I kind of partially put that out of my mind too, but yeah.
What did they ask me to write? They asked me to write something. I thought mine was ridiculous. When they asked me to write, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
It was what did they ask me to write? I think it was the capital of the United States, or yeah, I think it was either what was the capital of the United States or who was the president of the United States, and it was George W. So I was like, really? That's it? So
me and Carlos joked around, if they asked him who, because at the time it was, shall not be named. But who's the president of the United States?
Barack Obama.
So that would have been the one question he was willing to get wrong, because he wasn't gonna say that man's name.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't under that man, man. I'm glad it wasn't under that man, because I'm just glad.
No, that would have passed it because it was black.
Yeah. Oh, correct.
So I know why Florida is home for Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
So why is Florida home for Reggee?
So after I got out of the military, I moved to California. I was running behind a relationship that ultimately didn't last. And
sounds very military.
When I decided that I wanted to come back, I didn't want to go back to Georgia. Georgia, no matter where, Atlanta is the typical thing that most people from Georgia do. They go to Atlanta, and I wasn't a fan of Atlanta, so I didn't want to go there. And I also didn't want to go back to my hometown either. So I decided there were 3 places that I applied for when I moved here. One of the places was Tampa, Gainesville, and Jacksonville. And one of my philosophies is if it's meant to be, it will be the easiest thing to do. If I'm pulling teeth to make it happen, then I need to reevaluate the situation. So I applied at 3 places, and Gainesville and Tampa didn't even call. And the person from Jacksonville actually was like, hey, yeah, when can you start? I can start looking at some places for you. Like, he was very into the process and getting me there. So I was like, well, shit, Jacksonville is going to be the place that I choose. So I was there in Jacksonville for about 7 years. And Jacksonville is really an extension of Georgia, because it's right there on the border. So even though it's Florida, it's in the state of Florida, it feels very Georgia-like. And Jacksonville was as close as I wanted to be to my family, to where I can go down and travel if I need to, because it was only 3 hours away, but further enough away that if they wanted to come my way, they would have to call. So that was why I picked Jacksonville. And then Orlando, I wanted to have the Florida experience. And I knew that the more I dug my feet into Jacksonville, the harder it would be for me to move. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to Orlando. I had a good friend that lived here who doesn't live here now. He is down south now, but he lived here. And I was like, you know what? Let me try my hand out there. And I did. I got a job interview at a place that I was working for, so I was able to put in a transfer. And I've been here ever since 2013. And I always say the reason I love Orlando is because I met my love here. I met him here. So it represents not only a sense of independence, it also represents love and home. Even though I live in Ocoee, which, the Ocoee massacre isn't that great or not good at all. But, I bought a house here. I have my husband here. I have my family here. So it definitely has sentimental value to me in being here. So that's why Florida.
Fun fact, after I got out of the Navy, I tried to move back home, Fairfax, Virginia, and wrong move. That was wrong move. But just like you, I applied to some schools. Well, not schools. I applied to the school that I thought would be the school for me, and I never heard back from them. And I would end up in Texas. Wasn't really a good move. Wasn't the right move, honestly. But that's how I would fall into depression and a whole bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
And months later, that's when the school will respond to me, Judge Mason, and they're like, "Oh, it's like we found this email. Are you the guy?" Yeah. So we don't accept military credits, by the way, but you can come if you want to come. And yeah, I'm like, really? I've left Virginia. I ain't coming back.
Right, I'm good.
So while I was in Texas, and I had decided I was leaving, and this is not for me. Almost 2 years later, I was thinking New York, Seattle, and the third option was Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
So my Venezuelan brother was like, "Yeah, you gotta come to Tampa. This will be good for you." And plus, he needed me there. He wanted his buddy there. So I was this close. I was this close. So there's probably an alternate version. There's another universe where I made that move. It was Tampa that I ended up at, and so yeah, there's a version. There's a universe where instead of moving to New York, I moved to Tampa and began my journey after the Navy from there. So yeah, who knows?
Tampa's nice. Tampa is about
nice.
from Orlando. So
but the mosquitoes there, man. It was the first time I visited him, I was like, "Oh, I'm glad I ain't come here because God dang, mosquitoes."
We're right on the coast, so yeah, that would have been pretty common. We're central, so I mean, we definitely have bugs, but they ain't as bad as as what it is in Tampa.
Ooh, I was like, man, I left Nigeria. I ain't in Nigeria no more. That mosquitoes. The divorce was real.
Right.
I signed the papers. We gone.
Right.
And as soon as I came here, I was like, oh, we're not back in this relationship no more. No.
Right.
Yeah, I probably would have driven down here after the first bite, jumped in my car. Bye, I'm gone.
Yeah.
He didn't mention that part when he was trying to convince me to move to Tampa.
Yeah, no, he left that out. He knew you weren't gonna stay if he would have told you that.
He mentioned all the good stuff. So you two, Reggee first. You've done some traveling from your military days, and then along with Carlos, you two both travel together, especially via cruises.
Yeah.
And I know for the both of you, food is a big part of your relationship or your lives.
Well, you trying to call me fat?
Well, I have the big one pack here, so I don't know who we both call him fat. Well, everybody's fat here, I guess. So when it comes to the number one go-to cuisine for the both of you, well, it can be different answers. It doesn't have to be the same answer. What would you say is your number one go-to food from all the foods you've had from everywhere? You can betray one area. It don't matter. You can betray your hometown. You can betray somebody. It don't matter. It's okay. This is meant to be controversial. That's fine.
What? Carlos, when I first met him, he introduced me to his Venezuelan cuisine called arepas. And, at first I was like, oh, it's so sweet. He's cooking for me. It's so great. Oh my God, I could eat arepas every day. Well, 2 years in, it was like, I don't want to eat another arepa. I love you, but you're going to have to because I can't. But what arepas are is, I call it a great.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. And they typically fill it with meat and all that other stuff. But something that kind of represents he and I think is cachapas. I love cachapas.
Cachapas.
Yeah, which is he makes it for me like a pancake.
Out of corn.
We call them hoe cakes in Georgia. They're cakes that are cooked on the stove.
Okay.
Cornbread. but it has it's sweet,
Sweeter.
kind of like a pancake, and you can put eggs and meat in it, and cheese, everything, and it's one of the best things that he's ever cooked that I still love to this day.
I can't remember if I've eaten that. But arepas, I know I've eaten arepas. There's another one I've eaten. I think it's ayate.
Yeah, that's ayacas. Yeah, that's
ayacas. Yeah,
I can't do
ayacas. That is literally in Nigerian cuisine. That's moi moi. That's what they call moi moi. The only difference is that you guys use corn. Most Nigerians use black-eyed peas.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I went to my boy Rafa's house, he picked me up at the airport. I've told this story on the podcast before. Picked me up at the airport, and he had to go back to work, so he dropped me at his house. And he's like, "If you're hungry, just grab anything from the fridge." So I open his fridge, and I see something wrapped in plantain leaves, and I'm like, "Where this guy get moi moi from?" Because that's how we wrap moi moi. I'm like, "Damn." Rafa knew I was coming, and he prepared moi moi for me. Wow, my brother loves me really good. And I opened it up like, wow, this look like moi moi. And I tasted it. I was like, the taste, something is different in this, but it's almost. So I took a photo and I put it on Facebook, and all the Nigerians start commenting on my face like, man, where you got moi moi from? Where you got moi moi from? I say it's not moi moi. I know the taste. It's almost, but it's not. There's something different, and it's made with corn. And people are like, nah, you don't know moi moi. You've been away from Nigeria for too long. You don't know your own food anymore, man. You're lying. You're lying. I'm like, nah, it's not. Actually, it's not even made by a Nigerian. They're like, what? You're like, man, why are you lying? I'm like, what? I'm the one who ate it. I don't know my own food anymore. Some Nigerians were like, man, you're lying, man. You don't know your stuff anymore, man. I was like, oh boy, here we go. So yeah, next time I eat it, I don't post it. Moi moi, MOI.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, so it's black-eyed peas. You soak the skin, you soak the seeds, and like that. You soak it in hot water and for like almost 24 hours or so. I've gotten how to make it, and the skin will peel off.
Okay.
And then when the skin peels off by itself, you now blend the skinless seeds, and that paste. You now add whatever. If you want to add egg, you want to add shrimp, meat, whatever. Just the same with the way you guys make yours with the corn paste.
Yeah.
You add whatever you want to add, and then steam it up the same way. So if you steam it up in the leaf, same thing. Then just wrap it up. So hey, maybe through slavery, I don't know, but somehow, but it's literally changed to corn. But it's the same thing, just that it's with corn. So yeah.
What's the one dish that you
from here,
or just in general?
Anywhere. It doesn't have to be from back home. Well, but if you,
I love steaks.
Yeah, he's one of the things that we do.
Meats,
we every Friday have we try to anyway. Well, we have for the last number of years, but Fridays we like to go to new places.
Okay.
Friday is our date nights, so. If Carlos can get a good steak anywhere, he's a fan for life. One of his favorite steaks that he has is actually from Denny's.
Denny's?
Yeah.
The chain?
Their T-bone steak. Whoever the you go to, that guy, I guess he cooks it the same way every single time, and Carlos absolutely loves it. I'm not a fan of steak, but I eat a piece of his, and it was.
Wow. Well, that's not what I was expecting, but. Well, I'll take Carlos' word for it, because if Carlos likes the steak, then that's high praise right there.
He's a chef.
I know he's a chef. That's why I said if Carlos approves of it, that's high praise right there. So, Carlos, do you eat goat meat?
You eat goat?
Goat, yes, I love goat.
Oh, okay, you're my man. You're a good friend of mine, right there, right there. No. Yeah, me and Carlos, we're BFFs now.
I'll pass on that one. I do not like goat at all.
What?
That's a typical dish from home.
That's right.
We cook it on coconut sauce.
No.
Coconut sauce?
Yeah, coconut milk. And then we let it simmer, and it gets into a sauce with the meat on it. And we add onions, potatoes, Oh man.
Well, I need to try that. I need to try that. Now you just gave me a new idea. Woo, wait.
Yeah.
I'm definitely see that's why I need to be talking to chefs. You know what, Reggie? You can step out. Let me and Carlos have some conversation
I am right on goat. I am. I do not like curry.
And here it's easier because here you just buy the coconut milk in a can. Over there, you have to shredded coconut, mix it with drain it, and get calendar. It's a whole process. Like but here, little can of coconut milk's done.
That's right.
Too now, so don't get it twisted. I can cook too.
Yeah, he can cook. I love his.
Well, do you cook goat?
No. I would never do that.
Well, we'll talk later. We'll talk later. we don't know if you can cook.
Well, no lasagna for you whenever you come down here. You ain't getting no lasagna. How about that?
Let me tell you, when I first arrived in America, lasagna did something bad to me. I never heard of lasagna before. Well, I heard of it in movies. And then I went to a party with my mom, and then they were like, "You're gonna have lasagna?" I was like, "Well, I don't know what it is, but if someone offers it to me, I ain't gonna say no." And they're like, "Okay, how many you want?" I'm like, "Just okay." That's what I was saying. Okay, and they loaded it up on my plate, and boy, my stomach was rumbling for like 3 days. I was like, I want to hear about lasagna. I want to see lasagna.
Well, you hadn't had mine. You hadn't had mine, but
I think for the next 3 to 4 years, anywhere I went to, they were like, "Oh, we only have lasagna here." I was out. That was trauma for me. That was like one of the first trauma I suffered in America. Like, what the hell is this lasagna? Like,
probably ricotta or anything that had. Are you lactose intolerant?
Hell no.
Okay.
Well, maybe I've never been diagnosed, but I'm a guy who eats everything. But that lasagna did me bad, so I had to run away from lasagna until my missus.
Ricotta cheese.
Yeah, ricotta cheese is that we don't. I normally use sour cream. I don't put ricotta cheese in.
No, man, I'll definitely eat lasagna if you make lasagna. But I'm just saying, I'm still. I'd rather you make something else more bougie for me than lasagna. If you're gonna make something bougie, make something else.
I'll leave the bougie to Carlos then.
Yeah, there you go. Carlos, my man. He know what I like. Yeah. Reggie, you can make some salad or make mac and cheese. Make mac and cheese.
Yeah, I can make a mean mac and cheese now.
There you go.
I got you on that.
There you go. So since we're laughing now, I gotta ask another fun question. So, since you're from the South, Reggie, and you're from Venezuela, Carlos, there's no way both of you don't have music in your lives.
Yeah.
So, if I need both of you to dance for 1 hour, I need you to name me 3 artists that can keep you dancing for at least an hour. And you can't give me the most popular names. I need to give me some, don't give me like the let me see, who the popular Georgia artists out there. Don't give me Outcast and those.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't give me those names or the Migos. Yeah, but give me them. Give me the artists that keep you dancing.
Mark Anthony, salsa.
Ooh, Mark Anthony, that guy is dangerous.
When he dance salsa, it's the sexiest thing I've ever seen. It's beautiful.
And that's another thing too. Venezuelans, I haven't seen any Venezuelan who cannot dance. Yeah. Man, y'all are dangerous. Like Mark Anthony, that guy is dangerous. That guy is like, oh.
Juan Luis Guerra from Dominican Republic. He does like bachata and stuff like that. And from Colombia is a guy named Carlos Vives. I like his name.
Carlos, I have to give Carlos a shout out.
Carlos Vives.
Vives. I know Carlos Vives. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Man, I'm everywhere with my music, man. Just like Mark Anthony can make you fall in love. It don't matter if you're straight, gay, or whatever, man. That guy, he's too dangerous. Because when he starts singing sometimes, I'll be like, man, I'll be questioning myself. Like, we are catching feelings. Like, man, I'm Like, I know one of my favorite podcasters is like, he went to Mark Anthony concert and he's like, when that guy came on stage, he was like, man, but himself and his wife were fighting for the guy. It's like, we both fell in love with him. It's like, you can't just stand there and watch him, Mark Anthony sing. It's like, it don't matter if you're man or woman, you're just going to fall in love with him. I was like, man, that guy. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, back in Nigeria, we've been loving that guy. And we're like, man, we're quite homophobic. We love. But we were like, man, we love this guy, man. We just love. We don't know what he's singing about, but we just love him. We just love him.
Really? Mark Anthony? Seriously?
You got CDs and everything.
Wow. That's it.
She didn't say no word, but she would love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Artists that I love. One of the artists that really influenced my musical taste was Aaliyah.
Okay, I'll let you add that. Yeah,
she's a very big influence on my music and my outlook on life as well. I was very taken aback by her death when she died, and I haven't quite been able to recover, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's the fact that she's still influential and she only had a 7-year span of a career. I think it's absolutely amazing, and that's a testament to what kind of person she was, and her artistry also is what influenced me too, because she was someone of small stature and few words, but was able to emote some of the most sentimental music out there, for her time. I will say, I'm not saying Patti LaBelle or Aretha Franklin, but she definitely represented my era in music and when I, my developmental years. Jill Scott was somebody that I became a fan of in the last maybe 10, 12 years. I knew a few things that she had, and it was I was introduced to her and I was like, okay, I like her. And I had the opportunity to be able to go to her concert first time. And I became a fan after that. So, I'm a big Jill Scott fan. I actually had tickets. I had tickets to go. We had tickets to go VIP.
Wow.
During the pandemic, but obviously it was canceled.
Yeah.
And then her, as of recent, her as somebody who I think she reminds me of a female Prince because of how musical she is.
Okay.
And the fact that she's only 24 years old, or 20. No, she'll be 25 this year. And for her to put out some of the most influential music of today when it comes to R&B, I think is absolutely amazing. Like, she definitely crosses, music lines with country and rock and hip hop and
oh, really?
So, and it's her.
I don't know if I've heard her songs without knowing that that's the artist.
You probably have. You probably have. One of the songs,
I know the name, but I just don't know if I know any of her songs.
I would introduce you to one of the songs that you have is Focus.
Okay.
Can You Focus on Me is probably one of my most favorite songs of her that she has. And she started as a person, like she hid her identity for a number of years. And then she what's
her name? The white lady, Sia.
Which is interesting because Sia you used to be able to see Sia's face back in the day. And I don't know what happened to where you couldn't see her face. But,
really?
Yeah, she was Sia's been an artist for a while, but this whole, performing with her back to the audience is within the last 5-10 years. I don't know what that's about.
I think that's the only time she came into my consciousness, put it that way. So before I begin to wrap up, we can't leave without talking about Reggie's expressions. So how did you embrace your inner creativity and begin to and decide to put yourself out there via podcasting?
I always say, and I do believe that there's a little bit of narcissism in what we do, that we're able to curate these topics and have these conversations with people and not feel the way. I think I've always been creative. And when I was younger, I always wanted to, I actually went to school to major in radio. So I did that whole thing. And then very early on in my deciding to do radio, I became detached from it because of the traditional route, which, was to get your degree, then become an intern where you work for free and all that fun stuff. And by that time, I was already 25 because I did it after I got out of the military, and I just didn't want to work for free. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I was having a successful career in sales, so I decided to put that on the back burner. That's not something that's important to me.
Yeah.
At the time. And, it was something that would rear its head over time, but I just never, ever, decided to dig into. And then in 2017, I had somebody who had similar interests, and he and I created a show. And unfortunately, we, did a few episodes, and, we both stopped working at the same job, and he lived in a separate part of the state. And that was before Zoom and all that other stuff was out.
Yeah.
All you had was Facebook Live at the time, or at least that was one of the things that we used to do. And it just we went our own separate ways. So that happened, and I took a little bit of a break. And in 2019, I tell this story, throughout the podcast, but one of my friends, Darlena, who is right up here, you can't see her. Yeah, you can. The picture that's right above my shoulder here.
Yes.
Her. She is on left. She was diagnosed with cancer. From diagnosis to death, she lived 2 weeks. And one of the things that she say, and I always say this, is live life on purpose every day and be kind to people. And she was a person who definitely lived life on purpose, and she was kind to people. And that was a catalyst for me to be able to, to really live in my purpose. So I had considered the idea of podcasting, and I was like, you know what? I want a podcast. And I dedicated my first episode to her in 2020, to her. And it was an episode where on my 36th birthday, she called to tell me happy birthday. And, in the happy birthday, she is, emotional about telling me how happy she was that I was a friend, and how she's praying for me, and how she hopes for my wealth and prosperity. And I had never heard anybody, speak that level of happiness or kindness into my life. So I felt like I wouldn't be doing myself justice if I didn't share her message and tell my story. So 2 years later, Reggie's Expressions Exist, season 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Season 5. And, it's definitely it's fun for me to do now. You know what I'm saying? It's it's not work for me anymore. For me to produce an episode and create it, it's fun. And, I do all this while honoring her.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So
yeah,
with podcasting, producing podcasts for 5 seasons, maintaining a beautiful relationship, how do y'all find balance and maintain balance with yourselves, and how do y'all take care of yourselves?
Good question.
Yeah.
We are pretty much alike. And
yeah, we're very similar.
We just go out every Friday. We talk with friends. We sometimes think the same thing at the same time. It's like,
yeah, we're very similar in that way.
Do you think that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, I ask him, "Do you read my mind?"
Yeah.
I do that. My wife does that. Like, well, she uses that to spoil my movies. So sometimes.
I think part of it is that we genuinely enjoy each other, and I try because even sometimes when he doesn't want to, I try to continue those conversations even when it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a time where I'm not feeling myself or feeling, like the most loving person in the world, I continue to try to have those conversations with him. And I love him the way I want to be loved and vice versa. So it's easy to love him and shower him with with kindness because he does the same for me. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of shit out here in this world that is against us, and if we can't choose each other at the end of the day, we ain't doing it right. So I think he compliments me and I compliment him in many ways. And I want everybody to understand, for those of you who may see this or hear this, I don't want you guys to think that I speak for Carlos, because that's not the case. A lot of times there's a lot of nonverbal communication that he and I are having just by looking at each other that I know what he's thinking, and sometimes he's fearful. And you understand this, being someone who, English isn't their first language. It's difficult sometimes to express yourself in that way. And because I have a deeper connection and meaning, to him, it's important for me to get what he means out so people don't try to misconstrue it. Yeah, dismiss it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you'll see a lot of like nonverbal communication where we look at each other and I'm like, when I see that he's done talking, it's like, okay, there's more he wants to say, but let me, you know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, we just choose each other.
Awesome. Trust me, I understand. And that's actually one of the reasons why when this podcast began, it began with a face-to-face, face-to-face settings, because one of my strengths, it's not like I'm bad at the virtual interviews, but it's much easier to get people to open up, when they're right there in front of me, facing me, because I think people just see like, yes, it's someone who's similar to me or has a similar experience or from a similar background, even if they're born in a different continent, and then they just start pouring their story, opening their hearts, and so. But I understand, and trust me, but I say that so the audience knows that yes, it's not every day that I'm on the same page, and that's the one reason why I also love my partner, because sometimes I'm Carlos too. People know me, they hear my voice. They're like, "What? You don't talk all the time?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's sometimes I'm just outside and I'm wearing my hats and my shades, matching colors, of course, obviously. Still gotta look fresh out there." And I'm not doing any talking. My partner will do the talking, and then sometimes it's the opposite. She's the one who's quiet, and I'm doing all the talking on her behalf. So that's why we are a team, and we all cover for each other. So,
in Spanish, he would.
Oh, most definitely.
Right.
I feel. I trust me. I spent too much of my Spanish on Marc Anthony, so yeah, I should have. Yeah, next time. Although my professor said my Spanish sounds a lot like a Mexican, so yeah, that's
good.
Yeah, and then I got an F. And I had to pay the Navy back.
Wow,
the money. Yeah, different story for another day. So I can't thank you guys enough for giving me your time and for helping me out. Yes, for the audience, Reggee came through and helped me out. I'm using a different platform for today's recording because I couldn't be in the studio. So Reggee came through, and that's another reason why it's awesome to be a member of the Black Podcasters Association, because you see, we help each other out. And I think we should post this video so people see how ended up being looking like I'm a Sith Lord. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi out there. The series is out, so maybe I'm an Inquisitor because I'm all inside darkness, and then I'm not. It's not black and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to make fun of myself, but hey, and it's Pride Month, so hey, happy Pride, and everyone listening, the part of this podcast is to bring the artificial walls. We are humanizing the story of immigrants and everyone. So, yeah, love is love, and you gotta grow. Gotta grow. Can't keep.
Love is
Yeah, beautiful. See, Carlos came ready. Carlos came ready. So we can't. We can't. You can't be using whatever reasons you want to use and say you want to hate people. Like we even have people trying to hate on the black woman from the new Star Wars show, and I'm like, come on, people. Star Wars is a series that was based on bringing down a fascist empire, and you're still going to hate on the black character. Like, come on, are you serious? Are you serious, people? So if you're going to hate on the black woman whose sexuality we don't even know about, then and you're going to go celebrate Pride. Come on, guys. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense. So show love. Keep the love real. Before we officially wrap up, final question for the both of you. What would you like to leave the audience with? Could be anything from a book you've read, could be from your favorite artist, could be from someone who inspires you, from a guest you've had on your show, Reggee. Anything. It's your freestyle moment. And you can say it in Spanish too, Carlos. Say anything.
Yeah, I will say to people, love others like you love yourself. The world will be better. The world will be a better place.
I want to say real quick to Juan, we didn't forget about you, buddy. We love you. We was expecting him to walk through the door but he's probably got some extra hours. That's our son. So shout out to you. We love you. Say that in Spanish.
Te amamos, Juan.
And the one thing that I always say is, to try to be a beacon of light is life is hard, but it ain't always hard. So I say that to say, and this is something that I had to kind of remind myself of recently, is that, when, times are tough, you got to think about when the times are great. When times are great, you revel in that greatness. It's difficult. It's hard to do sometimes. But at the end of the day, we do have small victories, and we have to use those to really get us to that next big win. Because it ain't always big wins that we see on social media and just people in life. There's small ones on the that no one talks about that I want to hone in on, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge that that's a part of the journey too. And it just takes time. So why don't you stay with us a little longer?
Beautiful. So please plug yourself in and let the people know where they can find you and enjoy your awesome content.
So you can find me at Reggie's Expression. That is REGGEE '(S) Expressions on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find me at Reggie's Expressions, REGGEE under REGGEES _expressions on Instagram. And I'm also a traveling notary in the state of Florida. And I can marry you too. So if you're ever looking for a destination wedding, and you can find that all at Lincoln in the bio on Instagram and on Facebook. So I appreciate each and every one of you, mostly to you, Raphael, as I mess up your name. Raphael?
No, that's fine. It became Raphael after I moved to America.
Raphael, for extending your platform over to us and, myself and my husband, because, yes, it is Pride Month, and, it is something that, we definitely like to share our happiness with others. And we hope that we've done that today.
Amen.
Yes, you have. And I'll have all your links in the show notes. And please, guys, reach out to Reggee. He's a fantastic guy. And later on, I'll definitely be on his podcast, and we'll have another great conversation too. So the way my people say it, Umbana for coming on the show. And yes, keep the love going on. And for everyone listening, thank you for the privilege of your company. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.